Book of Job, chapter 28. For there is a place for the silver, whence it comes, and a place for the gold, whence it is refined. For iron comes out of the earth, and brass is hewn out like stone. He has set a bound to darkness, and he searches out every limit. A stone is darkness, and the shadow of death. There is a cutting off the torrent by reason of dust, so they that forget the right way are weakened. They are removed from among men. As for the earth, out of it shall come bread. Under it has been turned up as it were fire. Her stones are the place of the sapphire, and her dust supplies man with gold. There is a path, the fowl has not known it, neither has the eye of the vulture seen it, neither have the sons of the proud trodden it. A lion has not passed upon it. He has stretched forth his hand on the sharp rock, and turned up mountains by the roots. And he has interrupted the whirlpools of rivers, and mine eye has seen every precious thing. And he has laid bare the depths of rivers, and has brought his power to light. But whence has wisdom been discovered, and what is the place of knowledge? A mortal has not known its way, neither indeed has it been discovered among men. The depth said, "It is not in me," and the sea said, "It is not with me." One shall not give fine gold instead of it, neither shall silver be weighed in exchange for it. Neither shall it be compared with gold of Sophia, with the precious onyx and sapphire. Gold and crystal shall not be equal to it, neither shall vessels of gold be its exchange. Coral and fine pearl shall not be mentioned, but do thou esteem wisdom above the most precious things. The topaz of Ethiopia shall not be equalled to it. It shall not be compared with pure gold. Whence then is wisdom found? And of what kind is the place of understanding? It has escaped the notice of every man, and has been hidden from the birds of the sky. Destruction and death said, "We have heard the report of it." God has well ordered the way of it, and he knows the place of it. For he surveys the whole earth under heaven, knowing the things in the earth. All that he has made, the weight of the winds, the measures of the water. When he made them, thus he saw and numbered them, and made a way for the pealing of the thunder. Then he saw it and declared it. He prepared it and traced it out. And he said to man, "Behold, godliness is wisdom, and to abstain from evil is understanding." Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to Job chapter 28, in which there are 28 verses, beginning in verse 2. We read, hewn, which is cutting shaping or dressing with tools versus molten, which means to pour out, smelt, utter. It's saying that brass is hewn out like stone, or out of the stone. So brass technically comes from copper and zinc, factually. Comes from the earth's crust. So brass is either cut out, as the Septuagint is saying, out of the stone, versus it is melted out of the stone. I should say it is cut out like a stone. Okay, verse 3, the footnote reads, possibly he searches out the limit of darkness rather than setting a bound to the darkness. He searches out every limit versus he searches out all perfection. And then it says here, a stone is darkness. This could also be rendered as a stone, comma, darkness, meaning Elohim searches out the limits from the stones, even to the limit of darkness and the shadow of death. So let's read it that way. He has set a bound to darkness, and he searches out every limit, a stone, darkness, and the shadow of death, since is has been inserted there. Versus the stones of darkness. So are these stones of death, perhaps, of the shadow of death? Verse 4, footnote reads dust. Instead of dust, perhaps drought. So there's a cutting off of the torrent by reason of drought. That makes more sense. Versus the flood breaks out from the inhabitant. Comes out from the inhabitant, whatever that means. So they that forget the right way, versus even the waters forgotten of the foot. Okay, so that is very different. The people forget the right way, the path, the right path, versus the waters forgot that are forgotten by the feet. It's cryptic, doesn't really make sense. I'm going to call that at least a very significant difference. A significant difference. And then it says they are weakened versus are dried up. So people who forget the right way, yes, they are weakened morally, physically. They are eventually weakened. They are definitely not supported. They're not strengthened by Elohim. They are weakened. Their power is made less. Their prosperity is made less. So they are, indeed, they are weakened. Versus the waters are dried up. So continuing to focus on the waters. So I'm going to put that in parentheses. Continuing that narrative. And then it says, they are removed from among men. Versus they are gone away from men. So they are removed by no choice of their own. So the waters, did they have a choice? Oh, pardon the interruption there. Did the waters have a choice? Versus they had a choice. They were allowed to go by their own will if they have a choice, if that makes sense. Verse 8, talking about sons of the proud versus lions' whelps. There's an addition of fierce and as it relates to lion. Verse 10, the footnote reads, interrupted, for interrupted, caused to break forth the whirlpool. So it could be stopping the flow of the water, since a whirlpool is a rotating body of water, which was omitted in the Masoretic, by the way. This occurs when two currents meet or when one current hits a wall. So Elohim has interrupted the whirlpools. So this is a miracle if we're taking it at face value, as opposed to he has caused to break forth whirlpools. So these whirlpools were formed by him. Versus he cuts out rivers among the rocks. So he is forming rivers. Mine eye has seen every precious thing, and his eye sees every precious thing. So the eyes of Job versus the eyes of Elohim. He has laid bare the depths of rivers, verse 11. He binds the floods from overflowing. Significant difference in this same verse. And has brought his power to light versus the thing that is hid brings he forth to light. So it's talking about Elohim's power is on display versus Elohim revealing that which is hidden. I'm trying to enunciate. Pronounce everything correctly. Okay, verse 12. But whence has wisdom been discovered? And what is the place of knowledge? The Hebrew word for knowledge is yada, to understand, to perceive, compared to understanding. So they are rather similar. I would say they're close to exact when we go to the Hebrew. If I reverse engineered this Greek into Hebrew, it is the same word. Verse 13, a mortal has not known its way, versus man knows not the price thereof. So a man does not know the path of knowledge. Versus, let me put that in brackets. So of knowledge. Versus he has not known the cost of knowledge. Neither indeed has it been discovered among men, versus neither is it found in the land of the living. So men have not discovered knowledge, or the path of knowledge more specifically, versus knowledge is not found in this earthly realm, which doesn't make sense. It can be found in this realm. Otherwise, no one would have understanding. King Solomon would even have it. So that does not make sense in the Masoretic. We're going to ignore the next verses and skipping over to verse 18. Coral and fine pearl. So fine has been omitted. Pearl shall not be mentioned, but do thou esteem wisdom above the most precious things. So that is part of the text. That's not my comment. Shall not be mentioned compared to wisdom. So the most precious things, it is esteemed above these. The most valuable things versus only rubies in the Masoretic. The topaz of Ethiopia shall not be equal to it. It's rather the same. Okay, let's ignore that. Verse 20, whence then is wisdom found? So where is it found? Where is it discovered? Versus where does it come from? What is the source of wisdom? And what kind is the place? What type of place is it found versus where is it found? Verse 21, another significant difference. It has escaped the notice of every man versus seeing it is hid from the eyes of all living. So it was not noticed by mankind. It was not noticed. No one noticed it. Versus it has been hidden away from all life forms. Verse 23, Elohim has well ordered the way of it. So Elohim was the creator of it. He is the creator of it, and he's ordered its design. The design of knowledge, of understanding. Versus Elohim understands the way thereof. So he understands it. That makes sense. Of course he does. But who actually created it? Who ordered knowledge, understanding? It was Elohim. That's greater than just understanding it. So that could be the title, potentially, of this video. Verse 24 we're ignoring. Verse 25 we're ignoring. Verse 26, when he made them, thus he saw and numbered them. Talking about the wind, the water, and all things on earth. Versus a decree for the rain. So Elohim created a statute or a law for the rain only. So that's limiting Elohim. And made a way, perhaps a path, for the pealing, which is the sound of thunder versus lightning. Then he saw it, verse 27, he saw it and declared it. and prepared it. Okay, we're going to ignore that. Verse 28. He said to man, final verse, behold, actually this could be the title. Makes more sense. We're going to go more in depth into this verse. Behold, godliness is wisdom, versus behold, the fear of Adonai, that is wisdom. So godliness is defined as referring to a life that is characterized by reverence for Elohim, obedience to his commands, and a commitment to living in accordance with his will. This is very close to Yirat of Adonai, the Hebraic, actually scriptural definition, because it is to love righteousness, to do righteousness, and to hate evil. That's part of the definition. There's a lot more to it, the scriptural definition of it, because it isn't terror, it is reverence as well. So yeah, it does echo a lot of these, the godliness definition. And then the second half of the verse reads, and to abstain from evil is understanding, versus to depart from evil is understanding. What is the difference with abstain and depart? Well, abstain comes from the Greek apekomai. It is found in Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 6, where it reads, keep away. So keeping away from evil. While both phrases emphasize avoidance and separation from evil, departing from evil, abstaining often carries, this is from AI, by the way, abstaining often carries a stronger connotation of active resistance. Why? Because there's ongoing vigilance, especially in the context of discernment, of understanding. You're testing prophecies, you're avoiding false teachings, and resisting temptation. So that's the definition, the explanation provides. Whereas departing may emphasize a more definitive turning point or lifestyle change, so repentance and spiritual renewal. Whereas abstaining, it's an ongoing process. It's not just, okay, I left sin, I turned my life around. No, you're abstaining. It's an active process. You continue to be vigilant. In summary, both terms call for a life of holiness and separation from evil, but abstaining highlights continuous active avoidance, while departing emphasizes a decisive turning away from evil toward good. So the distinction, it's not always rigid. Both are part of the same biblical imperative to live in accordance with the will of Elohim. So one's more active, whereas one seems to be, one and done almost. Not that it is one and done, but it's closer to that, because once you repent, you've turned away from evil, but it's not going into detail as to how you continue to live. You've departed evil, but you're not continually abstaining from it. So abstaining is stronger. I think it says there, a stronger connotation of active resistance. So one's harder than the other. Abstaining means you're continuing the walk of the path of the way of understanding or wisdom or knowledge, whichever term you want to insert there. But here we have wisdom and understanding. So that's all for this video. Thank you very much for your time. Till next time, I bid you all Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum, Irini Mazisu, Pax Vobiscum, peace be unto you, and Maranatha.